everyone, and welcome. We are so excited to have you here for Be Part of the Picture with Accenture Live. My name is Peace, and I am a program and project management analyst here at Accenture, and I will be your host for the next hour. Now, this isn't your average live stream. This is a takeover led by us, the grads, interns, and apprentices at Accenture who were once in your position not that long ago. So we've put this session together to give you the kind of insight we wish we had when we were figuring out what to do next. Over the duration of this stream, we'll give you an honest look at what life is like at Accenture, from the work we do to the culture, the people, and how you can get involved. So if you've been wondering, what does a role here actually look like? Or whether you feel like you belong, you are in the right place. We have packed this live stream with short conversations, personal stories, and a Q&A where we can give you answers to the kinds of questions we all had when we were applying. We'll also introduce you to a few of our Accenture ambassadors. They are members of our grad, intern, and apprenticeship community who will be sharing and talking about their journey. And finally, whether you're into tech, consulting, or you just want to explore your different options, we hope by the end of this live stream, you'll have a clearer picture of where you might fit in, and as well as how to take that next step. So today, we want to get your input into the discussion. And so I have my colleague and co-host Nisha, who is here to run through how you can get involved across our time together. Over to you, Nisha.
Thanks so much, Peace. Hi everyone, I'm Nisha. I'm a full stack engineering analyst here at Accenture. And today I'm here to find a bit more about you, our audience, and I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions to help you get involved. So today we're going to use Menti, one of Accenture's enterprise tools. Any questions you'd like to ask the panel, they can be submitted here. There's a Q&A tab, but also I've got a couple of questions for you. So let's get started. On the screen, you're going to see a QR code, so please take out your personal device. And I want you to scan that QR code with your camera, and this is going to take you to our Menti browser page. So you can use your personal laptop as well if you just want to click that link next to the video player, and you will also see the browser page if that helps. So my first question, where are you joining from today? I want you to all pop in, where are you based, where are you located, into the lovely word cloud we've got going on. I'm hoping to see an amazing array of entries because Accenture, we've got offices all over, up in Scotland, all the way down to Bristol, and every office is just absolutely amazing. Look at London showing up. I'm in the London office today, and you do have an amazing, amazing space here. We've got Birmingham, we've got Newcastle. I want to see my Edinburgh representation. I can see it there, and Glasgow. So it's great to see we've got such a broad audience, and let's see where we also need to add some offices as well. Don't forget, you can add lots of questions into our Q&A tab on this Menti, and any that we don't get answered later on in the show, they'll be answered in the follow-up communications. So make sure you complete the form at the end of the broadcast. Before I hand back over, I'm going to leave you to think about one question. So question number 2, what are you hoping to get out of today's session? We've got a couple answers here that you're going to rank. This question is going to be live in the Menti. Rank them, click submit, and I'm going to leave that with you to have some thoughts across the next segment, and then I'm going to come back and look at these answers later on. So thank you for all your engagement so far. Keep your questions coming in through the Menti, and we're going to hand back over to Peace to take us throughout the rest of the day. Peace, over to you.
Thank you so much, Nisha. It is definitely great to see such fantastic responses. I know I'm looking forward to what we can cover in the rest of this session. So let's actually get onto the agenda for today. First up, I'll be giving you a quick introduction to Accenture. Who are we? What do we do? And what are the kind of roles and opportunities we have across the UK? So even if you think you've heard of Accenture before, chances are we do a lot more than you think. So this is a great way to get a complete picture of what's on offer. Then we'll be hearing from a few of our senior leaders. These are people who have been with Accenture for a while and have worked closely with grads, interns, and apprentices. They'll be sharing what they've seen over the years, how early talent shapes the company, and some advice for anyone that's just starting out. And finally, we'll wrap up with a live Q&A. We've already had some great questions sent in, but if something comes to mind during the session, drop it into the Menti. So that's what's coming up. As you can see, we've packed a lot into this next hour, and I hope it gives you a proper feel of what it's like to be part of the team here. But before we dive in, let's meet our brand ambassadors who will be guiding you through this journey.
Hi guys, my name's Amy and I'm here at the Accenture Leeds office.
I'm Gregor and I'm a packaged app development analyst on the Modern Engineering grad scheme.
My name is Mark and I'm an apprentice at Accenture in Leeds.
My name is Paul and I'm on the Modern Engineering graduate programme here at Accenture.
Hi there, my name's Shawan. I'm in Accenture based in the Birmingham office.
I'm Uriel. I'm one of the consulting apprentices here at Accenture.
Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie and I am a business architecture analyst at Accenture in the London office.
I'm Shruti and I work in Accenture. I'm based in the London office.
Hi everyone, my name's Jemima and I'm a technology degree apprentice here at Accenture.
My name's Pooja and I'm a former consulting degree apprentice here at Accenture.
I'm Silas and I'm a first year degree apprentice at Accenture.
All right, I hope you all enjoyed that. Remember, all of these people were where you are now at some point. And some of them will be on the panel for your questions later, so keep them coming in on Menti. Let's get straight into it. The question on everyone's lips, who actually is Accenture? Accenture is one of the world's biggest and most respected tech consultancy companies. We work with businesses, governments, and organizations in more than 120 countries, and we're made up of over 800,000 people globally. That scale means we don't just offer advice like a traditional consultancy, we actually help build and run the solutions too. Whether it's designing an app, rethinking how a business operates, or using AI to completely reinvent how a company works, Accenture is right there making it happen. Technology is a huge focus for us, and right now, that includes a lot of work helping organizations rethink the future through things like cloud, AI, and data. If it's innovative, we're probably involved. Now, if you're wondering, where can I fit in? Let's talk about it. At Accenture, early talent is such a big deal. Every year, we hire over 400 graduates, interns, placement students, and apprentices across the UK. That is a lot. And you'll find people like us across three main areas. We have consulting. We work with clients to solve problems, understand challenges, and design better ways of doing things. We also have technology. We build, we test, and we deliver the tech that powers real change. Finally, we have operations. We help big organizations run smarter and more efficiently day to day. And we're hiring all across the UK, in cities like London, Newcastle, Manchester, Leeds, Bristol, Edinburgh, and Glasgow. I honestly feel like I'm rapping right now. Whether you're finishing university, switching paths, or just starting out, there's a route in, and it's designed to help you grow fast. We put a massive focus on learning and development here, and we will support you from day one with structured training and lots of career support. Applications for most of our programs open in early October for start dates from June 2026. And we've got staggered start dates across the year. So there's a lot of flexibility in how and when you can join us. So by the end of today's session, you'll have a much clearer idea of what life at Accenture actually looks like and how to picture yourself in it. And speaking of that, we're about to hear from our ambassadors what they love about their regional offices. Accenture has offices across the UK, as we've already mentioned, and every one of our offices plays a part in what we do. So to give you a sense of what makes each one special, here's a quick video introducing you to some of the amazing people who work in our regional teams.
Welcome to Accenture UK, where every office has its own unique energy and every employee has a story to tell.
I would say the best thing about living and working in Newcastle is the nature that surrounds everything. The office has a big park right opposite. The other thing is the community vibe from Newcastle is just amazing.
The reason why I love the Birmingham office so much is because it's a very tight-knit community. You know, everyone knows each other and everyone goes out in socials or on lunch. But the benefit and advantage of that is that it's very easy to network amongst people and help out each other because, you know everyone. And also the Birmingham office itself, it's very easy accessible. You know, it's right next to the train station. So traveling there is very, very easy. It's very convenient.
One thing I love about the Accenture office in Leeds is the people. No matter what day of the week you go into the office, you'll always find people who are willing to conversate with you and talk to you about not just work, but about your general life.
I love our office space because it all just feels like one big community.
We've also got the extracurricular activities as well, which ranges from our town halls, that brings everyone together, board games night, rackets and sports, Dungeons and Dragons. So there's literally activities for anyone and everyone here in Leeds.
At the London office, I always enjoy coming in because I'm always surrounded by people of different backgrounds and experiences.
Every floor has its own unique vibe and something that just makes it stand out, essentially.
We are not just working with talented people, but also constantly learning from them, learning from their unique perspectives.
Within a few minutes, I can walk to iconic London landmarks such as the Shard, Tower Bridge, and even London Bridge, which makes the area really special.
There's also great food joints around as well, which is good for lunch when you're out here with a team trying to get good food and enjoy some time whilst working. Everyone's quite calm and relaxed, free to have a coffee chat with you and speak about anything you need.
But that's not all. All our Accenture offices present a unique community and opportunity to launch your career.
It is fantastic to hear about all these wonderful office cultures. And as someone based in the London office, I can say that we do have a massage room, which I frequent very often. Nisha, you're based in the Edinburgh office, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm based all the way up in Edinburgh, if you can't already tell. The office culture was something that was really important to me when joining, and the Edinburgh office culture is just amazing. We've built such a strong community, which means a lot to me. It's so friendly and so welcoming. So now let's take a look at what was important to you from that previous question that I asked you. So I asked you what you were hoping to get out of today's session, and looking at your answers, the top ranked was knowledge and skills that will help me gain a role at Accenture. And lucky for you, that is also one of the 4 things you're going to gain from today. So all these things will be covered, but you have set a really high bar for us, so let's just keep on going. I've actually got another question for you, surprise, surprise. Next question is, how are you feeling about making these job applications that are upcoming? While you answer this question, we're going to hear from some recruiters, and they're going to give you some great advice when applying for these jobs. So let's take a look.
Interviews can be nerve-wracking, but they're not just about a company choosing you. They're also a great opportunity for you to see if the role and the organisation is a good fit for you.
My piece of advice would be to remain commercially aware by keeping up to date with the latest industry and business trends. This just shows to recruiters and to interviewers that you're really interested in the area that you're applying to.
Really take your time when you are applying for roles. Research the company, research the role, and any interview that you get invited to, you should really go to, even if you aren't 100% sure, because this is really good practice for all of your other interviews as well.
To be as intentional as possible about who you're applying to, which roles, which companies. And by being more selective, you are giving yourself the gift of more time, more headspace to actually put into doing that depth of research and really thinking about actually how does this role, how does this organisation align with my personal values, ambitions and goals.
Practice talking about yourself in a really positive light. It's not something we have to do every day, so when you're asked about it in an interview it can feel really awkward. So think about your strengths and how to sell yourself.
It's really important to keep a spreadsheet or some sort of document to track the roles that you're applying for. Losing track could mean missing out on a really good opportunity.
So my advice is to turn these experiences into growth opportunities. Remember, don't be too hard on yourself because there will be lots of applicants for each job.
What's really important to remember is rejection is part of the process and it's perfectly normal. It's not a reflection of your self-worth. What it really means is the right role and the right company are still out there for you to find. Through time, through perseverance, you will find the right role for you.
I I hope you all took something useful from that amazing video from our recruiters. I know when I was applying, it is really nerve-wracking because you just want to do your best. And looking at your responses, we've got a lot of people that are excited, which is great news. And I'm hoping you've all learned some great stuff from today. People that are overwhelmed and nervous, please don't be, because you've got all our great support and we're all hoping you do well. And this is why we're putting on stuff like this. And please don't hesitate to reach out with all of us on LinkedIn as well. So it has been great to see all your responses. Thank you so much for all your participation today. That's all from me, and I'm going to hand you back over to Peace.
Thank you so much, Nisha. It has been great getting all these responses, and thanks so much for your help today. As for you, our audience, I hope you're enjoying what we've covered so far. We've been receiving loads of questions through our mentee, which we will be answering shortly. Now, before that, let's have a look at an interview that we recorded the other day with 3 Accenture leaders who all work really closely with our graduates and apprentices. They will be talking about why early talent matters to them and why now is such an exciting time to join Accenture. Let's hear what they have to say.
Hello and welcome everyone to our special segment of Be Part of the Picture with Accenture. I'm Fran Brooks and I'm an Early Talent Recruitment Manager here at Accenture, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by 3 incredible members of Accenture's leadership team who are here to share the kinds of opportunities and support that make starting a career with Accenture really unique and rewarding. Jess, let's start with you. You joined Accenture as a graduate yourself and you now lead our technology analyst group across the UK. Can you tell us about some of the industry-leading projects you are working on, either now or recently, and why students should be excited about the type of work they get to contribute to here at Accenture?
For me personally, I've been working on, and I'm also very excited about, the evolution of contact centres, whether that be call centres, chat, how we engage with businesses. Particularly the focus on implementing AI to enhance both that agent experience and the customer experience. I think the use of agentic AI in those contact centres is a use case that all of us as consumers can really see the impact of, and that experience really impacts our daily lives and how we engage with businesses around us. So being part of that fast-moving reinvention is something I'm really working with at the moment, and working with our clients around how they engage with their customers. And I think it's a brilliant opportunity because our Accenture teams are really working alongside, hand in hand with our clients to shape and deliver that new experience. Looking at kind of why you as students should be excited to be joining us, it's such an exciting time to join, given the pace of change that we're seeing across technology, across the full landscape. It's rapid, and our clients, typically very large organizations, need our partnership and work with us to stay ahead of their competitors, to adapt, to adopt. And I think we've seen, in my 10 years, I've seen a huge change across the technology landscape, and I think that change is growing exponentially. So to be entering the workforce now is really a chance to be part of the businesses, the solutions of the future across such a breadth of technology solutions, things that are established, things that are emerging. So I think it's a really exciting time to be joining.
Thanks, Jess. Yeah, pace of change does definitely feel exponential at the moment, especially with AI. So very exciting indeed. So thank you. Helen, you lead Accenture's only UK Advanced Technology Centre, which is based in Newcastle, which presents a really fantastic hub for those who are looking to start a career in technology. Can you tell us about the type of work that's really creating a buzz in Newcastle, and what students joining Accenture can expect in terms of scope, pace, and sort of the variability of the work that they might be doing?
Sure. Yeah, as you say, Fran, Newcastle's really unique. We are the only advanced technology centre in the UK. And being an ATC means that we deliver what we call full-scale technology solutions, predominantly for UK-based clients. That means that we get involved in designing new products and services all the way through to then supporting those services when they're live. We work across a number of very exciting industries, but our work is predominantly for UK government. But that gives a really great opportunity to contribute back to the UK economy in quite a significant way. You know, we keep the country running. We've got about 900 people here in the UK ATC in Newcastle, and joining the ATC will give you the opportunity to work in squads, always with people at very different stages of their Accenture career. So it could be your peers or people that have been here for a while. And we always have local leadership who are here, and they're on hand to provide the support and guidance that you need, allowing you to constantly learn and grow. Our projects are often quite fast-paced. We have to respond to client requirements very quickly. You might also get the opportunity to work on some compelling sales propositions to generate new work within your clients. But also, and really importantly, we're always focused on how new technologies can help our clients, but also help us think about how we can deliver more efficiently. And as you said earlier, you know, Gen AI is having quite a big impact and has a very interesting dynamic in public service delivery in particular. It's a really exciting place to be, and in my opinion, a wonderful city to decide to live in.
Thanks, Helen. And I love the reference to squads. That sounds very exciting. And I know actually, squads at work, but squads outside of work as well, because there's such a big community in Newcastle, isn't there?
Absolutely. You know, we encourage our people to come together as much as possible. But, you know, our entry-level talent are very good at organising themselves in a way that they get to know each other. You know, people can quite often be new to the city. So, you know, anything goes. We have people that go and do park runs on a Saturday together. We quite often set up showcases around our capabilities so people can learn where they can take their careers. We have hackathons and put lots of pizzas on. Anything goes. It's an exciting place to be, and I think it produces a really friendly environment for people to start their careers.
And Antonia, I know you started as a grad too yourself, so it's been wonderful to have you recently appointed to lead the Analyst Consulting Group as such a natural advocate for those in their early careers. So how are Accenture investing in their early talent, and what makes being part of those analyst communities at Accenture such a high value and career launching experience?
Yeah, thanks, Fran. It's been great to get involved with the Analyst Consulting Group, or ACG. You might hear people talk about, together with my colleague Nick Barnett, who's one of the managing directors in our strategy practice. And for us, the ACG is really about four things, and helping all of our analyst population in kind of four key ways. So firstly, with learning, you know, training, especially in the first part of your career, is obviously a really important thing, and keeping up with the latest trends and new technologies and new possibilities that affect not only the work that we do with our clients, but also how we work ourselves, as Helen talked about too. In the analyst population, we spent over £600,000 last year on training. But it's not just about the money in terms of that investment. It's also investment of time of people from all the breadth of the different parts of our strategy and consulting, Song and Industry X businesses who help participate in that training and so that people can learn from them. And we also have our apprentices who go to University of East London one day a week for their degree, which is obviously a really significant learning experience as well. Secondly, though, that learning doesn't only take place in a classroom, it also takes place every day as part of the work that we all do with our clients. So spending time with your clients, with others in your team at all levels to all learn together and to deliver on whatever the scope is of the project that you're doing, which could be across an enormous range of different types of things in different industries and different types of work in different parts of the business. Thirdly, and I think really importantly, just because you're an analyst or an intern or an apprentice doesn't mean that you can't also teach others. Particularly now with AI, some of our newest people are some of the most fluent and the most capable in spotting the best opportunities for us to use those technologies in how we do our day-to-day work. And in fact, this afternoon we've had a event for all of the managing directors in strategy and consulting here in London. And it's been brilliant to hear from a number of our consultants and analysts as part of a playground this afternoon on some of the ways that they use agentic AI in some of the tasks that they do, and hearing everyone going like, "Oh, can you tell me how you did that?" So it's really nice to see our early talent really bringing all of those capabilities to the fore and leading the way in that regard. And then finally, growing our community. So our community of analysts here in London, but also in Edinburgh and Manchester, where we also have people based, both in your individual ACG groups, and which are aligned to the different parts of the business, and also as a community as a whole. Because one of the key things that our role in the leadership team is to help people navigate the whole breadth of Accenture, which can feel a little bit daunting at first, and also changes on a regularly frequent basis, to figure out, okay, what are the different parts, what is the pieces that feel the most interesting to me, and what's the path that I want to take. We have people as part of our leadership team in the analyst consulting group from the whole breadth of those different parts of the business, from all the 5 different industries, from all the 7 different practices, from Song and from Industry X. And their role is to help all of our analysts, interns and apprentices build their networks, get to know people in different parts of the business, and navigate that path, finding where they want to go upon getting promoted to consultant.
That's really interesting to hear. And I love the idea of the playground, right? In terms of actually the early talent educating our MDs. And actually, I really hope that helps sort of dispel that myth that, there is like a big gap between sort of where you are in an organization when you start versus where you could be, because actually there is so much organic, that digital sort of native part of, the people coming in at the bottom of the organization, and they really can be making that change from day one, and do have a lot to bring from that sense. So really interesting. Thank you. So to close, I'd love to hear from each of you. If you could go back to when your career began and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be? I'm going to throw it back to you, Antonia, to kick us off.
So I'm not sure that I can be quite so specific as just one, but maybe I'll be a bit sneaky and have 3. So I think my first would be curious, read things, learn, read the investor relations section of the client website for wherever you're working first on your project, read the news, be curious, listen to podcasts, figure out what's going on in the world. The second would be proactive, think half a step ahead, what might be the next thing that might come next, what might I do to get ready for that. You won't always be right, and that's also totally okay, but be thinking in that way and help to be prepared. And then the final thing would be to pay attention to the small things as well as the big things. Sometimes we talk about, if you were in a shop, would you buy a jacket if I had a button hanging off? Probably not. You'd probably put it back and swap it and take one of the ones from further back on the rail where all the buttons are firmly attached. So whatever it is that you're working on, pay attention to the small things as much as the big things, so that you don't risk them distracting from the value and the quality of what you've put together as a whole.
Thank you. And Jess?
So I think I'm going to build on Antonia's first point of curiosity. And I think this is something that absolutely applies to the start of a career journey, but it applies every day after that as well. And that's really understanding beyond your own role. So by this, I mean, it's not just understanding what do I have to do? It's the why, the how, the when, and what are your team doing around you? I think understanding that context and the broader ambitions of your team not only helps you deliver your own personal outcomes better and more effectively, it helps you communicate with people around you better. And it also helps accelerate your own development, because you're learning not only from your own learnings, but from every other person around you, because you truly understand that context. So I think that curiosity and understanding that picture is really how I've seen people join this organisation and really accelerate to really reach that potential as quickly as possible.
Thanks, Jess. And I think it really helps from a purpose led perspective, right? To be able to sort of drive that linkage between sort of what you do on a day-to-day and kind of have that macro impact that as a organization, as a team, you are driving. So, and last but not least, Helen.
Yes, mine would be to be open-minded, particularly about new opportunities. Your Accenture career is not linear. Sometimes unexpected things happen, but quite often they can be the things that, when you don't expect them, can kind of help you learn and grow the most in your career. That's certainly happened to me in my time here. And Accenture itself is an organisation that quite often reinvents itself, both for our clients and for how we deliver. So be open to change. as Antonia and Jessa said, be curious, particularly about technology, take advantage of how that can help you advance your career as well.
Well, this has been so interesting. So just a huge thanks to all of our guests for sharing such inspiring insights. And for those of you that are exploring your next steps, whether you're considering an internship, an apprenticeship, a graduate role, hopefully today's event gives you some real food for thought about how you could be part of the picture with Accenture. We believe, what matters is finding a place where you can grow, be challenged and make an impact. And if that sounds like what you're looking for, Accenture could be a great fit. So take care, good luck with whatever comes next. And now back to the studio.
It is great to see these kinds of insights. I really enjoyed hearing about the work done in the Newcastle office, and knowing that we have an advanced technology centre is super cool. All right, I hope you're all ready, because now it's time for one of the best bits of today's live stream, the question and answer. So let's meet our brand ambassadors, and I will let them present themselves.
Hello everyone, my name is Paul. I'm from the Leeds office and I'm a software engineering analyst.
Hi, my name's Amy. I'm also a software engineering analyst from Leeds, and I really look forward to answering some of your questions.
Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm from the Newcastle office, and I'm a project and program management analyst.
Hi, I'm Shruti. I am based in the London office, and I'm a technical analyst.
Perfect. So my first question for our wonderful panel is, what is something you did in your application or interview prep that you think gave you an edge over other candidates? Would anyone like to answer? Yeah.
I'll take that one. So the biggest thing that I did, a lot of things, but the one that helped me the most was I actually reached out to existing Accenture employees, so people who were already part of the grad scheme or just finished the grad scheme. And I basically asked them for advice on what I should do within my application, or what Accenture is looking for in their future employees. So basically how I can sort of amplify my application, or sort of, what should I focus on, and actually ask them advice on what I should research on and sort of technology that I should focus on, and et cetera, et cetera. So the biggest asset, which I know we are urging a lot of you who are watching the live stream to do, is to connect with us, but, to ask us questions and essentially use us as a way of help.
And to add on to that, I think one thing that I really did was I found out what type of interview that I was going for, and then using that to really base my research around that. So you're going to hear the word research a lot, but that's basically how it goes. So with the task-based interview that I did a lot of research into the context of what Accenture does, type of roles, and just used that basically. And then it worked out, because here I am now.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Shruti and Paul. So my next question, why is it you chose to join Accenture when you were applying for jobs over other similar companies? Anyone?
I'll take that. I think why I chose Accenture, I really enjoyed the scope of the work. So I was speaking to people who were in the business, around the business, and they said, if you don't know exactly what you want to do, but you sort of know what you want to go into, Accenture's a great place to be, because there's so many roles. We do so much work with so many people. I currently do a lot with H&PS clients, and you could see a real difference you're making to people. It's really good. But I haven't had to pick and choose one role. I haven't been pigeonholed in the first 3 years of my career. I could still next week choose a different role, different path to go on in the company, and I think that's really valuable. And I think that's one of the main reasons I chose to join the company.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that as well. So I've also worked on a lot of H&PS clients. For those who don't know what H&PS is, it stands for Health and Public Service, so it's stuff like the NHS. And I found that I really liked applying for Accenture because when I applied, the recruitment process really suited my learning style. So it had a very people-led, people-first sort of approach. So we did a lot of face-to-face stuff rather than some of the job application processes nowadays that can be, okay, you see a robot, or you see a coding exam, or you see this, and then you see that, and then it's 12 different steps until you actually get to talk to a real person, whether it's face-to-face or even just on a Teams call. And I found that out of all of the places that I applied to, Accenture was one of the first are one of the only even that had you immediately talking to people. Like I think I did one, you know, how they've got to at least make sure you're a real person sort of check. But then I was talking to real people and I was being involved with real people, and it felt like a very inclusive process. They actually really cared about you when you were applying.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I think even one of our values is, you know, we're our people first. So thank you so much, Nathan and Amy. Cool. So my next question is for you, Paul. What are some resources you like to use to stay updated in your field of expertise?
Ooh, there's a lot, but the two that I mainly use is Udacity and Pluralsight, which luckily with Accenture, that's all included, so you don't have to pay for anything. And I really use those two because it has a mixture of both the technical skills that I need in terms of project work, but I can also branch out of that as well, get some courses on wider things, whether it be about speaking and just various other skills that could come in handy. So those are the two that I personally recommend. Might be a bit biased on that one.
No, that's perfect. Nathan?
Yeah, I think there's loads of things out there. One thing I really actually do enjoy that is an internal thing, so you know people can look forward to that if they join. In my business area especially, it's something called Ring the Bell, where if Accenture wins a big deal or we complete something really successful, we'll get emails, we'll get comms, a little like event in the office. I'm pretty sure they're talking about getting an actual bell into the office to ring, which would be really cool. And it's just, you know, shouting about our achievements. I find that really interesting to learn a bit more about what we're doing. And I think externally there's loads of resources as well. I think when I'm really interested in something, I sort of look, you know, what's in the news, what's newsletters, but also stuff like the House of Commons Library. I find really interesting. You know, it's free, it's available for anyone, and it's written by genuine experts. Who hopefully know a bit more about what they're talking about than I do. So stuff like that I find really interesting to sort of read around.
Yeah, I think it's really good that as analysts we're always wanting to grow, wanting to know more, wanting to stay updated in our field of expertise as well. So my question again is for Shruti. Looking back, what was the steepest learning curve you faced in your first year and how did you overcome it?
It's a loaded question. I think the biggest thing I always talk about is the fact that I've come from a non-technical background. And so I did media as an undergraduate degree, and then my master's was in IT and management. So I had like no coding experience, or my knowledge in very core technical areas was very limited. And so obviously, when I first came to Accenture, and the first role I did was actually, I was a tester, which meant that I had to have like some understanding of how, you know, different coding languages worked. And even though it was encouraged that, you know, it's fine if you don't have any knowledge, like you'll still be able to like learn and everything, which is what's the case. I felt like I was really thrown in the deep end. I was very overwhelmed. But the biggest thing that sort of helped me was I created a very, this is obviously a very personal experience, is I created a very strong community for myself. So my mentor, my career counselor, everyone was sort of like on my side when I sort of, you know, constantly said, hey, like I'm really struggling with this. I'm really, like, I'm not okay. Like I'm really struggling. I need help. And I sort of communicated that every step of the way. And then obviously it was like, what do I do next? And I got like the right advice. I got the right, at least in my scenario, I got the right, you know, sort of say, hey, I think you should do this. Why don't you try this? Or why don't you actually have a conversation with this person? And that really helped me sort of make the right decisions, and then also learn on the, you know, the appropriate things as well. So instead of not just learning something randomly, I'm actually learning useful things. But that was the biggest curve, was actually just trying to manage everything and also learn on the job in a completely new environment. So, yeah.
I think there's a really good point. I'm going to jump in slightly there. I think there's a really good point about community, and I think Accenture does that really well. I think, you know, you have community in your starting groups, you have community in the team you work with, but you have community as well in sort of which area you're working in. So technology has a community, program and project analysis has a community, and also the office you're in. I'm from the Newcastle office. It's a really tight-knit community. There's lots of events. We all get to know each other. And I think that's something Accenture does really well. And I know I jumped in there, so I'm...
That's all right. No, I think the responses were definitely, bang on the head, on the nail. For anyone that doesn't know what a start group means, what would you say?
Just the people you joined the company with at the same time as you. Accenture tries to get you to all to know each other. I've just been doing some of that in Newcastle with the new people who've joined, putting everyone through workshops together and getting people, so you're not completely
on your own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, one thing I would mention as well is we all say that for our own individual offices, they're all really tight-knit, really close communities, but I also find that all of the officers are friendly to everybody else. Like, obviously, me and Paul, it's our first time visiting the London office today, but we've had a great time. Everybody's been really welcoming. We've not been cold-shouldered by anybody. So just because you belong to one, office, don't let it make you think that you can't go and visit other offices, or other officers would shun you for turning up at their door.
100%.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. All right. My next question, this can go to whoever wants to answer. What does a typical day look like for you in your role?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that. If you keep an eye on mine and Paul's LinkedIns, you'll find our day in the life coming up from this day today. Strong plug. But a typical day for, it's probably mostly the same for you. We're both tech analysts. Is we usually have our morning stand-up for our accounts. So that's where everybody on the account, or at least on the team that you're on your account, will come and they'll talk about, okay, what did we do yesterday? What are we doing today? What needs to be done by the end of this sprint, which is usually a 2-week period. Then we may have some more meetings, or we may have quieter days. On my current account, I don't really have too many meetings. On my previous account, I had a lot of meetings. But usually you'll pick up, 1 or 2 tickets. You'll go through, you'll work through them like how you think you best can. But that doesn't mean that if you're new to joining an account, you can't still go and ask for help. Or even if you're not new to an account and you've just happened to pick up a ticket and you go, what? You can still go and ask other people and they will be more than happy to help you. And then usually we will have a weekly retrospective, where we look back on what we've done that week and make sure that everybody's comfortable and happy with what they've accomplished, or if we need any reviews for anything, we'll do those. And then usually 5:30, we shut all the laptops down, we go home. Unless, I'm not sure what the other officers are like, but in Leeds we have quite a lot of post-work, I was going to call them after school then, post-work clubs that we do, whether that be you do badminton and tennis, or we do D&D or board games and stuff like that can go on after work.
Okay. And I think just to add on to that, like every day and week seems to always be similar but also different. It's never quite the same. Like you always have, like you said, sometimes you'll have lots of meetings, sometimes you won't have as many, and I think that's the joy of it all. It's not always the same structure all the time. It's always varying throughout.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I think I was going to jump on that as well, because I think we're in very different areas of the business. Obviously, tech analyst, I do more project management from behind the scenes, and yet the experience is similar, but the work's completely different. I have a lot of meetings, stand-ups, happily not a retrospective. I don't like looking back on the week sometimes, but for program project management, we do a lot of money. We deal with money, and it's fun. It's very interesting. Someday you'll wake up and there'll be nothing on the horizon. You think, okay, no problem. You'll do some resource management and making sure that projects are staffed. And then some days you're dealing with invoices that have more zeros than I've ever seen before in my life. And you're like, whoa, well, this is important, and you're typing it all up, and it's interesting. And it is, it's similar but very different working styles.
Yeah, and I think we've already kind of touched on it in each of our questions, but would anyone like to answer this question? How would you describe Accenture's company culture, and what kind of people thrive here?
I'm happy to kick off on that one. I think the first one I'm going to answer is actually the last bit of the questions. What sort of people thrive here? And I think the people who thrive here, the only thing that everyone I know has in common is they're passionate about what they do. And it doesn't mean they're passionate about everything. It's a workplace. I'd love to say I come in every day I'm ready for the whole day. Sometimes I'm not. But I'm passionate about parts of the job, and those are the part of the jobs that matter to me. And I know everyone I know is passionate about at least something they're doing. And that makes it really easy to connect with people, because we might not be passionate about the same thing, but we're passionate about something that Accenture is doing, and that's important. In terms of sort of the community, so I, for example, am Inclusion and Diversity Deputy Lead in Newcastle. It's a very posh title.
Well done.
That I definitely don't deserve. But I think the community is really good, and I see it a lot more than maybe some people, because I'm in on these meetings that very imposter syndrome. I feel like I shouldn't be in, but we reach out to everyone. We have groups for everything: diversity, gender, pride, LGBTQ+, ethnicity. I'm trying to think of all the ones so I'm not missing any. But the amount of events and awareness, and we do these lunch and learns with people. They'll come into the office, sit and have lunch and just listen to a speaker about a topic that they're, again, passionate about. And I think that's the sort of community that Accenture values, is people who are passionate and listen and interested in more.
Yeah.
I know I've talked a lot past two
No,
questions.
definitely.
So I want to give
like,
someone else.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, I'd say Accenture's community is it's zero tolerance. We don't take bullying, we don't take harassment, we don't take sexism or anything like that. If something like that happens and then you report it to your people lead, your manager, somebody else in the office, it will get dealt with. We don't allow to foster that sort of negativity in any of the offices. So especially, I know that sometimes it can feel like if you're part of a minority, you don't want to go in such a big company because you're worried you'll just get lost in the sea of people that Accenture employs. But no, I do genuinely feel like they care for all of their employees when it comes to stuff like that.
Exactly. And I think it's very important to, create that safe environment for all people working here. All right, so moving on to my next question. Has anyone here relocated before?
Ooh.
Yeah? Okay. So my question for you both is, how did you find the change? So you could say where you lived and where you relocated to, and how you found that.
So I think I can go first.
Yeah, go for it.
So for me, I lived in London. I did, and then moved up to Leeds, purely because it's a great city that I've been there before for university. And how I found it, at first it was daunting, just because unlike university where you can always go back and stuff, this is work. This is going to be what you're doing now. So at first it was a bit daunting, but I think what we've said before, the community in the Leeds office is tremendous. I love it. I will not stop singing about it. You cannot tell me anything else. I will say the Leeds office is the best. Bit biased.
Maybe a little.
Maybe a little. But it helps in that I know the company as a whole is just so great in terms of building that community across various regions as well. And it's just having that community, not just with. So I know people from Newcastle, I know people from London, I know people from Bristol, being able to reach out to different people. So then if I'm ever in those areas, I can reach out. I never feel alone. I always feel together and connected. And that's really helped me in terms of relocating from London to Leeds.
That's great to hear. Shruti?
I actually relocated from Lancaster to London for this job. And so I did the other way around and into London. And I was quite fortunate that along with me, a couple of my friends from uni also relocated. And I also relocated to the UK for this in general as well for uni. So I spent the first 4 years of my life in the UK just trying to blend into the UK and sort of understand how things work here, and then moved to London, which was just a completely different ballgame. And I think a lot of my friends and a lot of people who move to London will probably vouch for me when I say this, but it is very overwhelming because you come into this very big and very populated city that is very busy. There's always just a billion things happening. So when you're not from here and you've come from a very tiny town/city called Lancaster, and you come to London, you're like, whoa, there are too many people in one tiny room. And it was very scary, but I actually joined a lot of communities here within Accenture, and then also within London. There's like loads of Facebook groups out there that you can join, or you can find a community in various forms, and through that I found people that like say speak the same language as me, or have the same interests as me, or so on and so forth. So I know I keep talking about community, but as you can tell, I'm a very social person and I like my friends. And so I basically, my friends really helped me sort of settle into London. Yeah.
Community is very important, especially when relocating. So it's not that, I think I'm quite a social person too, wouldn't you say? Right, so my next question are for the grads in the grad schemes. Please, can you go into more detail about the first couple of weeks going into a grad role? For example, what's the boot camp like? Will you be with the rest of your cohort?
Yeah, so I mean, for us, I know it was slightly different for you. Yeah. So for me, for my cohort at least, we were all together. However, it's entirely dependent on the size of your cohort. I believe your Newcastle lot got split off, didn't they?
There was the Newcastle region that was split off.
Yeah.
And then everyone else was in a regional function, but it was still mainly together for us.
Yeah, you're still primarily together. The first sort of 2 weeks, we do like this welcome to Accenture experience type thing. You play around in the metaverse for one of the days.
Yeah, best day.
Do you love the
that was so fun.
Yeah. You get to know all about Accenture, you get to know about all of our different sectors. So you heard me and Nathan mentioned H&PS earlier. There's also finance and other ones like that. There's, I think, 6 different areas.
It's a good guess.
It's a good guess. 6 different areas, and you'll learn all about them. So you can learn about all the different places that you could possibly go into roles for. You also get to know, what is Accenture's motive? What do they do as a business? Why do they function as a business the way that they do? You get some messages from the CEO, Julie Sweet. You get to know the people, obviously, that you'll be working with in your own office, but also that you'll be working with in your cohort from around the country. It's a really good sort of way to introduce you to the company without making it be like, scary corporate things. It's like, here's some people that are like in the same situation as you, here's some easy to understand information, will slowly ease you into being a little worker.
And I think to add on to that as well is the fact that I alluded to it earlier of knowing different people in the different regions, and that training really helps because you will be put into these mini breakout sessions where you're like with just 4 or 5 other people, and it's a really nice time to get to know the other people from the different regions, and we'll be bonding over just various things, how our different experiences were leading up to here, and it really just brings people more together. And I still talk to many of them today, so it's great.
Just jumping off that as well, I think when I started in my start group, the first 2 weeks we did a generalist Accenture training. And then we went on to based on what our schemes were, we got split into various trainings. So obviously if you did tech transformation and so on and so forth. But they added a competitive element. So it meant that we were already so hyped up and we were driven, and then we were just trying to, obviously show the best versions of ourselves. But it also meant that it brought us very close to each other. I'm still really good friends. Some of my closest friends actually in London are my people from the people I started with in Accenture. But yeah, and then the first 2 weeks, and then you go on to the specific training. So you sort of get a mix of, okay, this is how a life in Accenture looks like, but this is also what life, or sort of what could possibly your day-to-day look like, or what is expected of you when you do certain types of roles. So you're not actually thrown, as you said, not straight into the deep end. We're sort of eased into it, and then there's obviously okay, these are the communities you can join, these are the people you can reach out to, how is Accenture structured, and because obviously it's a very big company and there's so much corporate jargon out there. So you sort of are okay, familiarize yourself with what these things mean. So yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. That is unfortunately all we have for. That is unfortunately all the time we have for this panel. We've had loads of great questions come in, including some about our recruitment process or what we look for in applications. These questions will best be answered by our recruiters who are directly involved in the screening and the interviewing process. We will be holding weekly Q&A drop-in sessions from early October, where you'll be able to ask those questions directly to them as well. So, thank you again to all our panelists, and thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We hope to see you next time. Thank you so much.